I'm going to time myself. So hello, everyone. I'm Nicole. And since we're getting acquainted right here, I'll give you 2 facts about myself. 1, I'm the daughter of a magician. And 2, I love podcasts. Now, for the first one, that means I was raised with a healthy degree of skepticism, meaning that I tend to look beyond what's directly in front of me and look for what's really going on. And the second one is I'm like everybody else right now who's really enjoying the podcast revolution because I'm relentlessly curious and I'm always looking for new podcasts. And the other day I discovered a podcast called Should This Exist? And it's a brilliant podcast because it raises the question. What they do is they interview founders and technologists and creators who've created cutting-edge technology and talk to them about that, the implications, and looking at the human side of things. And for example, they interview people about drone technology and weaponry, about virtual therapists, and in this one case, about Effectiva. You may have heard about them. They use facial recognition to understand, to read the human emotions on your face. So they're looking for universal human expressions like anger, disgust, happiness, joy, and so on and so on. And what I loved about this discussion on that podcast was they had brought in other experts to talk about this. So they had a full discussion from different perspectives. Because when we're working, although we're technologists and data scientists, engineers, developers, we're working in interdisciplinary fields on problems that require interdisciplinary solutions. And so I really appreciated just the idea that they bring in other people. But here's the other thing I loved. Should this exist? That question alone was provocative enough. Obviously, it got me to click and listen. But it was provocative in another way. And that's that you can't just answer that yes or no. It requires that you ask other questions to evaluate if this technology should exist. Such as, well, how's this technology being used? What's the context? Who's using this? Who benefits? Who doesn't? What's the experience like for the user? And that one is actually the one that sticks with me the most because I work on the user side. And thinking about what is the experience of the user? And so going forward from there, I started thinking, well, what other areas is this product being used in Effectiva? And it turns out it's being used in a company called HireVue. Now, I specialize in the HR tech space, looking at how AI is transforming the hiring process and AI at work. And I happen to know HireVue. HireVue's the video interview. They do video interviews, and then they apply an algorithm to analyze your performance, essentially. And they use about 25,000 different data points to figure out, if you're qualified for the job that they're measuring for. And those are data points like your tone of voice, the way, where your eyes go, your smile, things like that. And when I remember the first time I read that, I had so many questions. Like, well, wait a minute. Does the tone of my voice qualify for me for a job? I have kind of a deep voice. So I wonder, could that disqualify me for a job? What if you're from another culture where you're taught not to smile in an interview? Because outside the US, smiling in an interview could mean that you look dumb. Does that factor into this? And it got me thinking, and so I asked even more questions. And so then I was thinking about, well, what other areas are we using AI in the workplace to make decisions that have a massive impact on our users? Long story short, the other day I saw Amazon has now, in their warehouses, enabled their technology that they use to send automatic termination notices to employees. Now, when I first read that, I was like, oh my God, Amazon's firing people without even telling them? A lot of people on Twitter felt that way. I read it closer, and it says, no, we're actually not sending it. We're obviously going to use a human to tell them they've been fired. But that raises some other questions. What's stopping Amazon from just firing people without notifying them by a human? Right? If it's all about efficiency, is it the optics? I don't know. As you'll notice, from all of these questions, I don't know. But that's kind of the point, is that all of this technology that is at the cutting edge that has real implications for users' lives, like insurance premiums, hiring, firing, all of those pieces require that we ask the hard questions. And not only that, I gotta check my notes here because I almost got off track and I got a minute left. Not only that, we ask the hard questions and we need to have not just answers, but we need to have discussions. We need to have discussions with people that are outside of our expertise because there's a tendency to get real siloed in these spaces. And these questions and answers, these questions aren't going to be answered just by you and your team. So I am the daughter of a magician, but I don't know any magic tricks. However, this talk was a bit of a trick because it's actually not just a talk, it's a homework assignment. And what I'd like you to do is to go out and have your own 20 questions with the technology that either you work on, you know someone that works on, or maybe that you're going, I wonder if that should exist. But the idea here isn't just to have them with yourself or someone next to you. I hope you guys have these discussions today, but to have it with someone that you don't know. that's outside of your area of expertise, that doesn't look like you, doesn't have your same work life, doesn't come from the same background as you, and talk to them about these questions and ask the hard questions with them. So there we are. We're at time.